Hello and welcome to Wilson's Barbecue. In this video I'm going to be cooking up this incredible piece of wagyu brisket which I got from Tom Hixson of Smithfield. So I've already done a full brisket video, full tutorial on trimming and everything in between. So I'm not going to show you how I've trimmed this. If you want to see how to do that, you can click the link above. So it's already been trimmed, so all I'm going to do is season it. So as I say, I've already done a brisket video. So I wanted to do something slightly different with this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for that more hot and fast method of cooking brisket. And the reason why I've decided to do that is because the cooker that I'm using today and that I've used in the last couple of videos is the Cactus Jack 16-inch Longhorn cooker from Pro Smoke. So kindly provided by Pro Smoke, and its ability to get up to 450 degrees is ridiculous. My old cooker couldn't do that, so I had the Oklahoma Joe, or I do have the Oklahoma Joe, and it doesn't have the ability to get up to that kind of heat for a long period of time, and it's so much easier on the Oklahoma Joe because it's so much thicker, on the Cactus Jack because it's so much thicker. So I thought, I've got this wagyu piece of brisket, I'm going to cook it, may as well try something different, and I may as well film it for YouTube as well. So I'm using coarse salt and pepper, as I usually do for Texas style brisket. I'm not using any kind of any condiment to help this adhere, because it's been sat out for about half an hour whilst I've trimmed it, so it's got a nice tacky surface to it. So coarse salt and pepper, and again you can see how I make this rub if you watch my previous Texas brisket video. So I'm going to go quite heavy on the rub, because as I said before, smoke will stick to a coarse and wet surface much easier than it will a dry surface or kind of smooth surface. So I'm going pretty heavy on the salt and pepper all the way around, and we'll get this on the smoker. Right, so we're going to put this onto the smoker between 300 and 350. I'm going to put a probe in it right from the start, and we're just going to cook it until it's cooked. I've not really done hot and fast before, so we're just going to have to see how this goes. So we'll take this out to the smoker now and get it on. Right, so the pit's running at about 335 at the moment. We're just going to put this on here, point toward the fire. I'm going to move these up a little bit to get a better reading, because we're running so hot. What I don't want to happen is for anything to burn, so just moving that temperature gauge up a touch. So we've got our point toward the fire, a real hot fire going there, and we're going to put this probe in right through the centre of the meat, just to monitor it throughout the cook. So we're going to cook between 300 and 350 for the entire cook, and we're currently at about 300. And I shut this back up, and we'll keep an eye on it. We'll probably check it in about 2 hours. Right, so we've been maintaining the temperature at about 400, so I've pushed it higher to try and get this done quicker. It's been on about an hour and a half. We're going to open it up, spritz it, see how it looks. So it's got some nice colour. You can see the edges are starting to dry out just because of that huge amount of heat that it's seeing at the point end. So give it a real nice spritz, close it down, keep the fire going at around 350 to 400. We'll come back in about an hour and a half. So the brisket's just come off the smoker. It was in there for 3 hours, between 350 and 400 degrees Fahrenheit. It was closer to 400, just because I wanted to get this thing cooked quite quickly. So what we're going to do is, the internal temperature was about 165. And I generally wouldn't leave a brisket in there much past that anyway, and after 3 hours is as much as I wanted to do uncovered, because I didn't want it to render out too much with the high heat. So 3 hours, what we're going to do is just wrap it up like we normally would, and I've just got some apple cider vinegar and water. So you can see it's got a nice bark on it. Probably not as much as I would like, but we're just trialing something a bit different today. So we're going to wrap this up real tight. As is always the goal when you are wrapping barbecue. Always a bit fiddly. So there we go. We've got our brisket wrapped up, and in the interest of time and ease, just because I've got a lot of other things on today, I'm going to do something which goes against all Texas barbecue religion, at least, is I'm going to finish this off in the oven. So I'm going to stick again to about 300, so a little bit lower. I'm going to whack this into the oven, which is preheating, and see how it turns out. So we're doing a lot of different stuff today. High heat, finishing in the oven. Might get a lot of hate for that, but we'll see how it turns out when we slice into it. So I'm going to stick this into the oven now. Right, so we're back. It's 2 hours later. This has been in the oven at around 300 for 2 hours. Timer went off. I just had a timer set on my phone. Pulled it out, temped it, and it was showing at around 203. So where are we at now? So it's at 202 at the moment. 203. So still at 203, and what I've done is created a few little holes here just so I can go in and kind of check the kind of tenderness of the point. So I'm happy with that. It's been in just in the oven cooking. We'll see if this comes out just as well as when it's finished off on the smoker. So what I'm going to do, because it's quite early on here in the day, and we're not going to eat this until later on this evening, I'm just going to let it rest in a cooler, and I've just lined the cooler with some tin foil just to stop any leakage, really, not to insulate or anything like that. So it's in the cooler. I'll probably keep it in there for about 4 hours. I think the longer the rest you can get, the better. 4 hours would be perfect. Using a cooler is really good if you're trying to hold meat until, say, everyone comes over. You don't need to use a cooler to rest a piece of brisket. A lot of people do, but all it does is slows down the time it takes to get to a kind of nice cutting temperature and an serving temperature. So coolers are good when you want to hold the meat for 6 hours. But if you're ready to eat your brisket as soon as it comes out, just leave it to rest on the side. So this is going in here. We'll come back in about 4 hours, cut it open, and see how badly we messed it up. Right, so this has been resting for 3 hours now in the cooler. I was going to do 4 hours, but we're getting kind of hungry and I'm really eager to see how it looks. So I did two things today that I don't normally do. That's hot and fast, and also finishing the brisket in the oven. So we're going to open this up and hope that we haven't screwed it up. So as I say, I'm not normally one for hot and fast, and I'm not normally one for finishing in the oven, but we'll see how it turns out, and I'm going to make sure that I'm really honest if this doesn't turn out great. So it feels good. Whew. Wow, there is a lot of juice. And we'll make sure that we get that all on there. So it's looking good so far, and the dog's having a brilliant time. Licking up all the fat that's on the floor. So there you have it. There's the hot and fast brisket. Ooh, hot and fast brisket, finished in the oven. To be honest, it looks the part. It's got a really good bark on it, a really nice sheen. Looks like there's a lot of fat still in there. Really good bark, no burnt bits. So I think all we need to do now is to cut into it. So what I'm going to do is separate it where the point meets the flat, and we'll get straight into the money shot. So we've got the flat here, the point here. I'm just going to go straight in. So there we go. I mean, that's looking pretty good. The flat that runs under the point, runs under the point meat side, is maybe looking a bit tougher than I'd like, and that might have been that hot and fast method. It didn't give it quite enough time to render down and soften up, but we'll take a couple of slices here and give you the verdict. I mean, that looks pretty good. And I'm sorry if you can hear my dog right now licking the fat off the floor. Right. So I always put the meat face down in the fat that's rendered out, just to keep it from oxidizing. There you go. There's my hot and fast brisket. It looks pretty tender. Again, that flat muscle there, I don't know if you can see that, but that flat muscle is kind of look a little bit tougher than I'm used to with the low and slow method. But you can see the point has rendered out incredibly well. Real nice bark on it. Finished in the oven as well. Thought I'd give that a go today, just in the interest of time, and it seems to have worked out on the face of it. But let's cut into it and see how it looks and tastes. Sorry. So I'm taking a bit of the point and the flat. I'm gonna bite into it, see how it goes. Wow. I say that every time. That is really not too different at all from the low and slow method. I'm really, really surprised by that. That flat muscle was definitely a little bit less tender than I'm used to. But that is the flavour there, and just in general, the overall taste and texture is just bang on. It does make you question why you would spend 12 hours cooking a brisket at 250. Not 100% on it yet. Don't know if I do it every time, but that is really, really good. If I wanted to do a brisket quick, hot and fast, just to get it done quickly, I would definitely recommend this. I was very skeptical of doing that, but that's turned out really, really well. And finishing it in the oven doesn't seem to have made any difference. That is really good. Really, really happy with it. So we're gonna take some thumbnail shots now, but we'll come back in a second and finish off. So we've taken some photos for YouTube. You can see here, hopefully you can see how good this has turned out. I'm really, really impressed with it. Got a real nice bark. The point meat, I'm really impressed with the point meat. It's broken down a huge amount. And yeah, just generally, this has turned out really, really good. So let's take a quick cut from the flat, and we'll compare just to see if this. I'm just interested to see if this dried out at all during the hot and fast cook. So there we go. There's a flat, nice bark, definitely hangs under its own weight, and in terms of pulling apart, yeah, it does. It's really tender. Yeah. That is one of the best briskets I've cooked, actually. I almost feel a little bit ashamed to say it, because I was so sure on the low and slow style that you see in Aaron Franklin's and Terry Black's, etc. But that's turned out really well. I'm really, really happy with it. So there we go. That was my hot and fast Wagyu brisket from Tom Hixson's, finished off in the oven. It's turned out, really has been one, so far from what I've tasted, one of the best briskets I've cooked. So I'm really, really happy with it. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel. It means a lot to me. It makes a real big difference. Like the video, drop me a comment below if you want to see different things in the future. Follow me on Instagram. It really, really helps. And give this a go. Definitely try hot and fast. If you're used to the low and slow method, definitely give this a go. I think you'll be happy with the outcome. So thanks again for watching. I'll see you in a week or so for another video.